that, and I've kind of tried to share this with you, with somebody that is very much entrenched within bowl games and also within a lot that goes on with the ACC. As a sponsor, as someone who also is a part of some charitable organizations and some that are a part of allowing student athletes, not allowing, but giving student athletes a chance to kind of have their story told in a human interest way. But in this email that I received, or it's actually a direct message from Isaac Hardy, wanted to bring this up to you. I heard once, and only once, while listening to many of the outlets that I listen to, that sponsors, the ones who hand the money to ESPN, say, not once or only once, slow this expansion down a bit, as we are the ones who are giving you all the money. Make sense of a guy, let's say Budweiser, who is writing checks in his alma maters in the conference that ESPN and the SEC wants to leave out. You don't think he's pissed? I thought it was interesting to hear Kevin Warren say 16 teams. The other day, Sankey still playing negotiating games as if there might be an SEC-only playoff. I would love to hear if there is talk or whispers from guys who write the checks to ESPN that they don't like this. I did hear you comment a few minutes ago, a sponsor who made that comment to you, and that's the one I brought up from the ACC. How do they pay? Now, if you're Budweiser, you want to find the most eyeballs, the biggest events, Coca-Cola, whoever else. But I've said this before, that there is at least, whether it is just bubbling or not, sponsors who are looking around that have tied money into a lot of things that are right now current, who will still most likely be a part of things, but some of them are also going, wait a minute, what the hell, what do you think you're doing? And it's no one needs to respond to that or comment to it, but I do think that sometimes we hear about no one listens to the fans. I think they will listen to sponsors, and I bet there are more sponsors than we realize who are wondering what the hell's going on with college football.
Well, especially as it gets less, regional and leaves out regions.
If you're a business that is like, for example, in a certain territory that is your territory, and I don't know how Coke and Pepsi, I don't know how that works, or Dr. Pepper or whoever, but there are some territories. And if you are in a business that you're buying a certain conference because of its regionality, which we know regionality is almost out the window, but you are, for example, mainly in the South. And all of a sudden, that conference is now up in the North where, not that you don't sell those products there or your product there, then it changes a little bit. Or maybe out West, where you don't even have, it's not that you don't have customers if you're the business, as I mentioned, but maybe your specific business is looking specifically at a certain region, a certain type person, a customer, and the next thing you know, you might be in a different region, which could be good, and yet again, that also could be something you're not real thrilled with.
Yeah, I don't know, Bojangles Chicken is big on the ACC, right? I mean, but that's not a place that we have
but
here.
what are they going to really do?
I'm just using that as an example, So, if you're there, are you mad that ESPN has kind of torpedoed? But it doesn't make sense that, why ESPN would do that because they own the ACC thing. But are you mad? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would think I don't know if the national sponsors will get really mad. To me, because it seems like it is.
This whole thing's directed towards TV. So if you're a sponsor and you're running commercials, you're trying to get the biggest audience, no?
Yeah.
So why would you be balking at the leagues trying to create the biggest audiences? Because that's what they're doing. The thing I would be balking at is the fact that if any of this stuff about Stanford and Cal and Oregon and Washington is, that it's all being circled back to now, if, the Big Ten were to make that move and add those schools, and then, who knows what the heck the SEC does, and there's, of course, the whole ACC puzzle where there's at least 4 schools out there. Isn't this just the same thing but 2 leagues instead of 5?
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of funny to me is, there's all this scrambling around and – we might end up in a spot where by the end of it, it's just the same thing, but it's just 2 leagues instead of 5 of them. And pretty much everybody that was in those 5 is going to be a part of this thing. That's the direction. If you start adding those 4 and then, the other responds, the Big 12's eventually going to have to do something. Pac-10's going to have to fizzle or sizzle one way or the other. If they lose some more schools, they're pretty much dead in the water. So you'd think leftovers go to the Big 12. Probably leaves a couple of them kind of stranded. Maybe they find a lifeboat somewhere. But, this thing... I don't know, man. Until I see somebody say, hey, we're not adding anymore, then why would a sponsor jump in and say anything at this point, No,
that's a very good point. And one of the things that we could do is every day discuss this because we know it's top of your mind because you go to the chat room and there's some that immediately want to get into it. There's a lot out there that's been thrown against the wall that the mud just goes straight to the floor. And on occasion, maybe something will stick. And as it does, we will be here for you and with you along the way.